Really sad story that went viral yesterday. There's a guy, 32-year-old activist, who was stabbed to death by some vagrant wacko at 4 a.m. in bed-stuy. And he was leaving a wedding with looks like his girlfriend. And young white guy, apparently a real do-gooder, liberal social activist. And he's there with his girlfriend, and there's a vagrant in Bedford-Stuyvesant. I mention he's a young white guy because Bed-Stuy is a black neighborhood. It's overwhelmingly a black neighborhood. So this guy stands out. Bed-Stuy is a poor neighborhood. This guy's wearing a suit. His girlfriend is wearing a gown. And this vagrant walks by. And for some reason, this young man, this 32-year-old man, gets up with his girlfriend and follows the crazy vagrant and starts speaking to him when this vagrant, it looks like he was beating up on a car or a trash can or something. And the guy showed courage in that when the vagrant pulled a knife out and starts attacking him, he put himself in between the attacker and his girlfriend. And then he was stabbed to death. He's down on the ground, and this was all captured on camera because cameras now are everywhere. The sad part about this is this young man died. Some people are kind of mocking it and saying, well, he got what he deserved, play stupid games, play stupid prizes. I'm not doing that. This is a very sad thing if a guy gets murdered, especially if he is trying to help his girlfriend. But what is especially sad and what's politically important for all of us is the shocking way that he and so many people today misjudge these sorts of situations. Right now, go to expressvpn.com/Knowles. Have you ever heard of data brokers? They are the middlemen collecting and selling the digital footprints that you leave online. They can stitch together detailed profiles of your browsing history, online searches, and location data, then sell it off to advertising companies who use the information to serve you targeted advertisements. No biggie, right? Well, you might be surprised to learn that these same data brokers are also selling your information to the Department of Homeland Security and the IRS. To mask my digital footprints, I am so pleased that I can protect myself with ExpressVPN. One of the easiest ways for brokers to obtain data to tie it back to you is through your device's unique IP address, which also reveals information about your location. When you're connected to ExpressVPN, your IP address is hidden, making it more difficult for data brokers to identify who you are. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network traffic, keeping your data safe from hackers on public Wi-Fi. I have the ExpressVPN app, and look, I'm a Luddite, okay? So you can get it on your phone, you can get it on your tablet, you can get it on your computer, you can get it on your home Wi-Fi router, and it's simple enough that even I can use it. You tap one button, turn it on, boom, you're protected. That easy. Make sure that your online activity and data are protected with the best VPN money can buy. Visit expressvpn.com/Knowles, KNWLES. Use my link to get 3 extra months for free, expressvpn.com/Knowles, expressvpn.com/Knowles. Bed-Stuy is a very bad neighborhood. Wasn't it Biggie who rapped about Bed-Stuy, do or die? Right? Bed-Stuy is not a nice place. I just looked up the crime statistics in Bed-Stuy. Your chance of becoming a victim of crime in Bedford-Stuyvesant is about 1 in 35. The violent crime rate is 1,065 per 100,000 people. The average crime rate is 2,900 per 100,000 people. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. This is a young white couple dressed to the nines from a wedding. They're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Some people have said, well, it's crazy to be in New York City at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's not crazy to be in New York City. I've been in New York City at 4 o'clock in the morning many, many times, all over the streets, in all sorts of parts of New York. But if I'm going to be out on the street at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's when the bars get out in New York, I'm going to be in nice neighborhoods. I'm not going to do that in bad neighborhoods. And there's a difference between bad neighborhoods and nice neighborhoods. And you're not allowed to say that now because it's politically incorrect to suggest that certain neighborhoods are more prone to crime than others, but they are. And if I see a crazy looking vagrant on the street, I'm going to cross to the other side of the street. And I'm not going to talk to that guy. I'm not even going to make eye contact with that guy because some people are more dangerous than others. You're not allowed to say that now, especially if the person is black. Even if the person's white, but especially if the person's black, you're not allowed to say that because that would be called I don't know, they'd call you racist or profiling or whatever. But these are all natural reactions that are conducive to our own safety. The word that has been totally trodden underfoot in recent decades is prejudice. Prejudice is a terrible, you're not supposed to prejudge anything. But of course, you have to prejudge things. You have to just act on gut and instinct. You don't have time to write a 50-page thesis on every single question you're presented with. You wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. You wouldn't be able to determine, okay, I'm going to get out of bed and then eat a bowl of Cheerios and then go take a shower and then go get in my car and drive to work. You'd have to examine every single one of those decisions. Every time you meet somebody, you wouldn't be able to know, do I shake their hand? Do I punch them in the face? Do I run away? Prejudice. I'm not saying, cruelty. I'm not saying, unjust discrimination. I'm not saying any of that, but just prejudging, just going on your gut, going with the wisdom of the ages, that is not only not a bad thing, that's a very, very good thing. That is essential to our personal safety and to politics. Edmund Burke, one of the great Anglo-Irish philosophers of conservatism, elevated prejudice as a very important aspect of politics. Because otherwise, we're going to be like the utopian liberals. We're going to be like the progressives who say the past was always bad. We got to throw out, that had no wisdom whatsoever. And we're just going to reinvent the world every single day out of our own stock of reason. But our stock of reason is relatively limited. And when we do that, when we ignore the wisdom of the ages, we actually put even more constraints on our stock of wisdom, on our stock of reason. And we imperil ourselves and our political community. Very sad. We should pray for that guy, and we should pray for his girlfriend, and maybe even for that maniac criminal there, who I hope is arrested. I hope all the other criminals in New York are arrested. There's another sad aspect of the story. If New York were just operating like it did during Giuliani's day, then the prosecutors would arrest the criminals, and the likelihood of being victimized in it, even in these bad neighborhoods, would diminish greatly. But because of political correctness, because of liberalism, because of a misunderstanding of human nature and politics, we don't get that. And so it's no surprise when people in recent days, oddly enough, especially open liberal activists, are victimized. That should come as no surprise, because they're basing their behavior on flawed premises. It's not just bed-stuy. Henry Queller, I mentioned Henry Queller at the top of the show. He's a Democrat from Texas, but he's relatively more conservative. Congressman Queller was just carjacked in Washington, D.C.
I was coming in from the Capitol. I parked in front of my apartment complex, and when I was getting up, three guys came up with guns. I quickly analyzed the situation. I got a black belt in karate, so you got to learn what to do. I looked to the left, somebody had a gun. To the right, somebody had a gun. I had a third guy behind me. And you got to stay calm. So I went ahead and gave them the car keys, and they took off. Within a couple hours, they were able to recover my phone, my car. Everything got returned. I want to thank the Capitol Police and the Metro Police for doing their job.
So it's good that there was a relatively happy ending here, and Congressman Queller wasn't hurt and he got his stuff back. This is a sitting member of Congress getting carjacked. The city has spun out of control when that happens. Years ago, during the early days of the Verdict podcast, we were filming it. Me and Senator Cruz and some of the staff were filming it on somewhere L Street, K Street, somewhere in a studio, but in a nice part of D.C. We're pretty close to the White House. And this was about 1 a.m. Senator Cruz would come over after the impeachment vote, and we'd do the podcast. They just park on the street, whatever. After one of the early shows, Senator Cruz walks back into the studio. We were cleaning up a little bit, and he said, "Guys, someone broke into my car. There's a smash and grab. Someone just smashed open a window, stole stuff out of the car. This is a sitting U.S. senator. This is a sitting U.S. congressman here, Queller. How do you stop it? It's not complicated. If Rudy Giuliani could do it in New York City in the early 90s, anyone could do it. It might not be easy, but it is simple. You have to acknowledge that the way to fight crime is to lock up the criminals. You have to recognize that the bad neighborhoods are where the crime is likely to happen. You got to send more cops to those bad neighborhoods, and you got to harass more criminals, and you got to lock them up for longer periods of time. When crime is on the rise, that means you have an under-incarceration problem. What do our liberal rulers tell us? That we have an over-incarceration. Well, over-incarceration? Talk to me about over-incarceration when the crime rate starts dropping again. It's just a refusal to accept human nature and reality as it is. Well, of course, we live in a time when you're not even allowed to say that. Is it any wonder that we're ignoring reality on other fronts too? Boy, what a great clip that was. Now, make sure that you ring the bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. See you next time.